Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Comic Chronicle Podcast. I'm your guys' host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. Your friendly neighborhood podcaster, animal caretaker, dinosaur enthusiast, toy unboxer, video game streamer, all the jazz like that. We have another episode of the Comic Chronicle Podcast. Today we have on colorist Marissa Louise is on the show today. We talk about all sorts of stuff. Being a colorist, what it entails, chasing dreams, motivation in dreams, to say the least, too. We talk about our grandmother who was helping people escape from war in Europe at 80 years old. That's a hell of a story. And a lot of, inspirational, motivational stuff this episode. And a few jokes, too, along the way. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode of Marissa. Welcome, guys. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you guys subscribe for new episodes, hopefully every week. And, of course, that is on Apple Podcasts or wherever you guys listen to your podcasts these days. Make sure you tune in to my live stream on every week on Twitch, Coderex97, and YouTube channel, where the podcast goes as well. But also my video games, dinosaur stuff, toys, all the jazz like that is Dakota Morgan on YouTube. It's a lot, I know. But hey, it's all worth it in the end, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. And yeah, without me just rambling on for any more, let's dive into this fun conversation with Marissa. Second to do its thing.
My roommate has a kitten who is currently biting me.
Oh, currently biting? Oh, so, we are recording, just but is it like a young kitten?
Oh yeah, he's yeah. He's oh my gosh, he's 8 or 9 weeks old.
8 or 9? Oh, that's adorable.
He's very cute.
I think that's past the bottle feeding though.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is on hard food, but he's a little wild.
Still got that nibbling.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I mean, one of the things I mentioned it on the show before, one of the things I do when I'm not writing comic books is I work with exotic animals and I work with animals like cats and dogs and shit too. So I love it so much. And bottle feeding kittens, it's a little bit of work, especially because you got to warm it up and stuff. But I love kittens so much. I really do.
They're very soft.
Yes, they are. They're so cute and I'm looking over at my cat now. He's just like a chonk and sleeping in his bed. His little unicorn hut at the moment. But I miss those days where they're yeah. You feel like you could break them, and then they grow up, and they're you are death to me, human. Oh, that's fair. If you don't feed me, I will cut you in your sleep. All right, fair enough.
All my kitties are just sweet little cuddle buns, man.
Oh yeah, he is too. Don't get me wrong on that one, but when it comes to the food. He's also a rescue. Pedro is. He was rescued. He's missing parts of his ear. He has only 4 teeth left. I rescued him at an old hospital he used to work at because he was left there and he was boarded. It was an oncology center. He never had cancer, but it was he was just abandoned there. So we're okay, let's take him. So I took him home when I left that hospital to go do exotics, and yeah, I love him to death. I do want to say I think I've never talked about it. You ever had a cat attack you? Not attack you, but just jump on you when you're sleeping?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Terrifying experience I had the other week. Tell me if this has ever happened to you, because it's never happened to even cat owners, other cat owners I know. So I'm just sitting there sleeping. I got to get up for work in a couple hours, and I think it was around 5 o'clock in the morning. My cat jumped on me, but his nails were not too long. And they went into right next to my jugular on my neck and sliced me. And then he went down a little bit. He's a big sized cat. And he went down. And I just woke up thinking someone was cutting my throat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. It was the most hard. I've had some scary experiences in my life, but that scared the shit. And and I just woke up. And I was bleeding on the neck. The cat was scared shitless. I comforted him. I gave him a hug. He's like, what did I do? And I'm like, oh my God. I got all this blood on my neck. My girlfriend's sleeping through the whole damn thing. And it was didn't wake up at all. I'm oh, that's good to know that I could die in my sleep. Yeah, cat owning is fun, folks.
They are, I stand by the assessment that no animal is ever truly domesticated.
Yes. Yeah. I work with crocodilians. I 100% agree with that. People
I don't think those are even partially domesticated.
No, you can do a 2%, and I'm still a little bit worrisome on there. Ooh.
Yeah, that's too strong.
A little bit. But I mean, You were mentioning beforehand about deadlines. I know that's been kind of like the big thing going on with a lot of people right now. Tis the deadline season, it seems like.
Oh, it's always the deadline season.
Yeah.
There was like a let up during Corona because a lot of business slowed down. So like nobody was like really pushing super hard for anything. But now it's just back to normal, which is nonstop deadlines.
It's true. I mean, I'm in a spot right now with my company, SGGS, where we're about to launch a bunch of stuff. So they're like, okay, you have a bunch in the backlog. You're okay for the little bits. I'm like, awesome. But over the years, the deadlines have absolutely just, to me, they make you, what's the best way you think you would find them, Marissa? Like, I love them because they get us to work, but like, they're also not your best friend.
I mean, for me, I like, well, when I was in art school, I had a really hard time like assessing when something was done, right? Especially like I was trained as a painter, and it's not like you can undo the last stroke, right? You have to scrape the whole thing off. And so it was very easy for me to noodle too long. And the thing I like about deadlines is like I have to set an amount of time that I work on something, and then that's it, and then it's done.
Which is good. I mean, like deadlines. Yeah, I mean they keep us going though, and like they're almost a goal. I agree with that. Like, if you don't have that deadline, then you're just sitting there. Like as a writer, I'm just sitting there. I'm re-editing stuff, and I'm like taking forever on one script, and I'm just like, oh my god, like wait, like oh, I want to change this, but with a deadline, you're like, okay, this is the goal. I gotta make this goal here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you were trained to be a painter though, or you went to school for it?
Yeah, I went to school for painting. But I really hated the gallery scene. It's like
it's bougie, one might say.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like diplomatic ways to put this, but
you don't want to offend. I don't think anybody from the gallery scene is listening to the show. I will be honest.
But you never know. You never know.
That's true.
All we have to do is like say Elon Musk, and he'll name search himself, and then be sending rude letters.
Oh, it's true. It is fair. I've said good things about HBO before on this show, and I was like, yeah, HBO. And I shit you not, it was 2 weeks later, I got an email asking if one of the actors from Doom Patrol can come on to the show because they listened to the show and thought it was good. I'm like, what? Like, you want a what now? You're not
who
wrong.
wasn't listening?
I don't know who it was. I guess it was the right agent or something like that, because it wasn't the actress. It was a girl who plays Dorothy in Doom Patrol. Like I'm drawing a blank on her name, which is atrocious. She's such a sweetheart. She really is. Like her and I geeked over theater because her and I did theater growing up. Like, so we really geeked out about that.
That's fun.
Yeah, like you never know. And then I think I mentioned Fox once on the show, and then I had one of them come on for one of their Marvel shows. So it's just, you never know.
Yeah, you never know who's listening. That's why the old saying used to be between you, me, and the wall, and I always liked that one. But since I talk mostly online now, the phrase I use now is between you, me, and the CIA.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I got the one where it's like, I'm always like, thanks, NSA, for whenever like anything good happens.
Yeah.
People look at you like you're nuts, and I'm like, wow, you guys have no concept of how things work these days, do you? Like, and they're like, yeah, it's a joke, right? I met somebody once, and this may seem like controversial shit, maybe, I don't know. I met somebody once, and they're like, oh yeah, the joke's about the NSA. I never understand that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I never understood about them like listening and stuff. They don't do that. They wouldn't dare do that. I'm like, oh really? This person, by the way, was in their 30s. They made it to the 30s. I don't know how. Like, it really, like, concept of reality, people. Like, they even joke. I watched the trailer for Bright, the Bright prequel coming out. Did you remember that one on Netflix from a couple years ago?
Nope.
It was Will Smith. It was like a medieval, like, creatures in our world in modern times in the stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was like a prequel to that. And I remember them always saying, they're like, oh, the NSA got a pin. And people were like, oh, that's unrealistic because the NSA would be listening to the phones. I'm like, yeah, sorry. sorry, even in that world. Oh, God. But yeah, but comics. Yeah.
A much lighter topic.
Yeah, right. Like a much lighter topic, comics. But yeah, I mean, we should make it clear though, for people maybe who don't know listening now, what is it that you exactly do in comics?
I am a colorist. So that is the person who adds the color to the line art. I did not know until I was in my 20s that was a job. So I will excuse people for not knowing that. I really did think the line artist had to do everything.
Really?
And that's why I was like, I'm not going to make comics.
you're like, no, that's a lot of work.
Too much work. Yeah.
People do it though. To me, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. But like I said, I was trained as a painter, so it's not like I don't have an illustration background, which is like much more efficient drawing. I have an incredibly inefficient process.
Really?
Oh yeah. Make mistakes until something works.
That's the beauty of art. I think that's like how we all do things. We just make mistakes till something works.
Yeah, and like especially in painting, like novelty and re-examining themes are really important. So like you don't necessarily like if something works, I'm not super driven to repeat it. I'm driven to like explore what different ways I can do it, but I'm very rarely like, oh, this works, I'll keep doing this. I'm like, oh, this works, let's see how I can mess it up. Just great.
You're very honest though, Marissa, with yourself. You really are. Like you're 100% honest with yourself. You're like, I'll mess it up. It's fine. It's like that's why people. Yeah, like, that'd be fine. I'm not
running a nuclear reactor. I'm just drawing.
Yeah, right. It's like, wait. I mean, to some people though, that's like running a nuclear reactor. People are like, to me, honestly, I am one of those people because I write, but for people who do anything with drawing, like I just look at you guys like gods. I've said it for 3 years of doing this fucking show. You guys are the magicians of Doctor Strange, whatever you want to say. Like, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you take my shitty words. Even Paul, my artist, he takes my shitty words and makes them into something. I'm like, how does he do this? How does he translate?
Just do it and make mistakes until you know what you're doing.
Can you make a shirt? I would buy that shirt. Life, making mistakes till you get it right.
Yeah, it's really it. I mean, and that was like one of the big liberating things that I learned in college is that like you can make mistakes, you can throw away sketches, like you don't. Perfection gets in, and you know Steve Lieber, I'm sure you've heard of him, or talked to him, but he like. He'll often talk about how getting it done in perfection are at odds, which is really true. Like, yeah, especially like I find that if you don't give yourself room to make mistakes, it's really easy to get hung up in the idea stage. And then instead of like actually making the thing, you're so hung up on like trying to make it right that you just end up never making it. But the only way you can see if it works is you have to make it, and you have to make those mistakes. Otherwise, you can't test it, without it existing.
Exactly. Like so many people are like, I want to draw or I want to write, but they never do it. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I want to do it, but they never I think that's like the biggest step. It was for me. I don't know if it was for you. It was for people I've talked to in the past and some friends of mine in the business. It's like, who've done a lot of shit. Like they're like the biggest step to like creating is actually doing it. But once you do it, it's just from there, it's easy as hell.
Yeah, it's like getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
Once you're out from under the covers, it's all.
Yeah, but then you got that time where you're sitting up in bed and you're like, oh, do I want to do work today? Like, do I want to go in? Do I want to start up the computer? Like, oh.
This is one of the things like I talk about a lot is there's something called studio practice that you learn if you go to an art school, like a good art school. You learn about what's called studio practice, and it's basically the way to motivate yourself to go into the studio when all you want to do is lay in bed. And it's like super valuable.
Yeah, that was that day one of school? Because it feels like a day one of school thing. Like, here's to motivate yourself because you're gonna need it.
Oh man, I will say, I tried to cheap out on college, and I went to community college first, thinking that all the foundational work would be the same. Now, to a degree, it was, right? Like they did teach us the basics of color theory, and they taught us how to mix paint and stuff like that. But like the difference in intensity of the college I ended up going to and my community college was like just worlds apart, right? Because like at community college, you're just like, here's how you do it, do whatever. It doesn't matter if you do a good job, just get it done, right?
Yeah.
But like at Pratt, when I got there and I started seeing people's foundational work, I was like so mad at myself for skipping that. And apparently it's like one of the hardest tiers of Pratt is like the entry level, because that's when the admitted class gets halved. And then every year following that it's like quartered.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's pretty intensive.
Oh, I there's only a few people I've ever talked to and know personally that have ever done art school before. I've known people who've taught it, but I'm like to go to it too. Like, never really gotten into detail about it. That sounds this is coming from the guy who knows doctors who have been to like medical school, and this honestly, art school sounds intense as shit. Because honestly, it sounds almost, I will go on record and say it, almost more intense, because you got to come up with it from your head and you're drawing and whatnot. Like, I say this, and I'm gonna have some people come down to my throat. But oh Jesus! All right, they're both equally difficult, but art school seems tough too. Like, it seems extremely difficult.
I mean, like, but not all art schools are created equal, much like all medical schools aren't created equal.
That's
like when I went to a campus tour, one of the reasons, and this will tell you a lot about my personality. When I was looking at different art schools I wanted to go to, when I went to Pratt, I went during midterms, and there was just bodies littered everywhere. Like it just looked like an apocalypse. And I asked people what was going on, and they were like, oh yeah, all those people just finished their midterms and fell asleep where they were.
Oh, holy shit.
Like, oh, this is the school for me.
Oh, that's amazing. You're like, these people are honest and true to themselves.
I was like, oh, this is a bunch of lunatics. I want to go here.
It's like, well, I feel at home with my family now.
Yeah, it was great for me, and I was fortunate enough to get a lot of scholarships and things like that. So I was very fortunate. And my mom, she does pediatric rehabilitation.
Oh shit.
So she would always tell me stories about going to medical school, and like she said they'd sleep with the cadavers just because like they'd be working so late. It was one of the few places to lay down. They just like sleep with the cadavers. I was like, okay, so my school was intense, but I wasn't sleeping with dead bodies intense.
Jeez. Yeah, that that tracks. Jesus Christ. There is the most badass thing though. Did you ever hear about colleges in Norway?
No.
Colleges, I found this out from a friend of mine that I work with. He's a veterinarian. He went to school in Britain, and he was going to school, and he wanted to go to school in Europe. And I was like, all right. He's an older guy, and he said, I looked into Norway, and Norway gave you a gift if once you graduate. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, colleges there do, or education systems, whatever they call it there. And what they do is they give you a sword.
What?
I shit you not. I'm like, man, I have failed my whole life because I have, like, I could die happy. Like, I went to college and got this broadsword. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I want a sword.
Yeah, it makes you feel gypped. We're like, I completed high school. Do I get a dagger? Well, actually, sounds terrible. Let's not do that. Not in America.
Let's not give teens daggers.
No, honestly, I can see why in America they don't give us swords, because I have a strange feeling the parties afterward would be a very intense. Norway, you keep doing you. Yeah, like what happened? Well, someone got really drunk with a sword and tried eating a sword. It didn't really work out too well.
Did you ever have you ever been to like those carnival acts in like Coney Island?
Not in Coney Island. I went to a heavy metal concert that was part heavy metal concert and also a freak show. That was pretty cool. I've never been anything. Marissa, you have activated a memory in my brain that I have not remembered in like 6 years. Oh my God, thank you. Oh, I forgot all about that. I've never been to Coney Island, but I have been to one of those. And that was you couldn't get away with doing stuff like that. I say freak show, but it was like they were like, we're the freak show, and it was like everyone doing all sorts of stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
that was intense. That was a very intense night.
We like I said, I specifically chose my college because people there were maniacs, and then I met more maniacs, and we were untamed animals in New York together. And one of the things we like to do was go to Coney Island and get like super wasted and then hang out with the performers. And like we got like private shows, we were taught how to do tricks and stuff. It was super fun.
That has like a book written into it right there. Because oh my God, that sounds like all the adventures you could have or have had.
Oh yeah. Well, like I'm very good in an emergency, and that gives me a level of comfort to say yes to a lot of things that maybe more rational people wouldn't say yes to.
I feel that. I relate to that 100%. And people call me insane. I'm like, no, I'm just smart and want to have fun.
I want to have fun. Yeah. And I'm experienced, with like danger, so it's not like, I know how to get out of most situations. Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm fine. I'll get worried when something really bad happens, but if history is any judge, then I also won't be worried then. So I don't know.
I've said this recently in interviews and just talks with friends of mine in the comic book business when we're just chit-chatting. And I honestly think like those of us who work in the comic book field, also I've had this with my boss over at SGS, like, and he agreed because he says I'm fucking nuts, is that the people who work in comic books, whether it's any of our jobs on art side, lettering, writer, anybody, we have the most interesting lives because it's never as simple as people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with that story right there you told, and then like that alone right there, and then like shit, like when I'm not writing comic books, I'm taking care of crocodiles and alligators, and I work in a hospital with animals. Like,
yeah,
you never know. And then like shit, I have I'm almost working on a book. People have told me to write a book about stories in my life. Like you never know. Like
exciting, yeah.
Like, it could be. I honestly think that's the case. Like we are the people who have seen a lot in life, and we're transferring like our fun as hell or crazy as hell, depending, like times in life, and putting it into our art form. And I honestly firmly believe if you have a normal life, you're not going to make it in the comics.
Maybe I tend to surround myself with like a little more wild of a grade of person, but
yes.
that comes from like my family, right? Oh. Like my grandma when she was 80, she was like in Eastern Europe trying to like help people flee war. And Jesus. She was like at 80, and like I remember us all getting really mad at her because she like missed her train, and this is the kind of person she was. The thing she decided was appropriate to do at 80 was run along the boarding plank and jump onto the train as it left the station.
Shit.
And she like missed and cracked her skull again, but like she was fine. I don't know what it was made out of, but yeah. So like at like 80.
Oh like, my God.
You gotta stop doing that. You're not 60 anymore.
But you're not 60 anymore? Oh my God. That woman deserves a fucking movie. Holy shit.
She was a wild person.
Oh my god, she sounds like the granddad. We watched Watchmen with my girlfriend. Like she sounds like the granddad who's 100 years old and was like beating the shit out of racist people at 100 years old. Like,
Oh
like,
yeah.
he was going to town. Like, what the hell? Oh my god.
Yeah, she was something. She was always up to something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'd be like, people be like, "Where's your grandmother? She's alive. You know where? No, she's somewhere. Oh, I
We'll
know.
get a letter eventually, and
Yeah,
she'll tell us about all the orphans she's fostering now. And we're like, where did you find those children?
Is she still around?
No, she recently
Damn it.
passed.
Oh my condolences.
She's like, she was like 96, I think.
Holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
she needs like you have to do everything you can to make a book. Marissa, that's your comic right there. That is your fucking comic book. And like I know shit like you'd be like, and you know what's the beautiful part? You don't have to pay like likeness fees or anything like that. It's create your own idea, and no one's gonna take it. Like there you go, it's trademarked all on my family.
I think actually one of my cousins might be working on a book about her, but I don't know.
Oh, there you go. There's the book war. Who's gonna make it first?
Who's gonna make it first? Not me. I'm doing other
No.
stuff.
Oh, that's fair. That is definitely fair. You're in comics. It's fine. I mean, hey, yeah, comics does keep us busy too. It really does.
It
I mean,
really does.
like what? I know you can't say anything because of NDAs, and I feel that because there's stuff I want to talk about, but I can't talk about in my own show because I'd get in trouble. It's a bitch. But like, what's some of the things recently you've done in your job?
I started doing the Harlequin animated series comic, which I'm really excited about. I thought that cartoon was amazing.
Yeah.
And so T. Franklin is writing it, and Max Sarin is drawing it, and like that has been for a very long time a fantasy of mine to get to work with Max. So
Oh, so it's
excited we're working together.
It's a dream come true sort of thing.
Ooh, yeah. And then Tyler Esposito is lettering it. And it looks like it's a really beautiful book. Pretty proud of it. And then I got Black Manto with Val DeLandro. And Val and I met years ago, and it took us a long time to start working together. But once we did, it was just simpatico. So I love working. I love working with Val also.
So it was that like symbiotic kind of relationship that just went on books, which is a goal to have. Like when everyone can make it work together like that, like it's beautiful because it shows in the work.
Yeah. We just we were talking about this in the Colorist chat today about one of the things that comes up a lot is when you're coloring, like you have to be able to understand another person's thought process, and sometimes you just don't mesh, and it's not that either of you are bad artists or bad people or dislike each other. It's just that you have different thought processes, and then sometimes you just mesh beautifully, like Trina Farrell and Allison Sampson, like they work really beautifully together.
True.
And tired of biased mainstream media? Just want the news without agenda? Well, stop on by America First Podcast. We report every Sunday on the events that took place during the week. No bias, no agenda, just the news as it was meant to be. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Antenna Pod, and Overcast. Tune in and stay up to date. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at capital S, lowercase CMBAG, capital N. Just type in America First Podcast. We're there. Got plenty of episodes for now. We update regularly, as I said. So stay up to date to know what's going on. And as always, stay informed, stay involved, and keep America first.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong at all. Like, you're definitely not wrong. Like, it's a thing, and people like when you like or dislike like a person you're working with and shit like that too. When I worked in the film industry, that was the thing. Like, it was always the goal was to get a good crew because the cast wise too, most definitely, and
Yeah.
like when you're either acting or you're working on the crew together and shit, it has to work. Like it's almost you once you understand each other. Yeah, you're right. I can tell you went to college. No, yeah, like
You
you're
got
not
that
wrong.
thinking
It's
brain.
yeah. This is, I mean, like it's the thing. Like in order to make art, like people have to understand each other because it's a team, and the team has to blend and work together. Because if they don't, like if one gear is out, it's noticeable in anything, like any art form they do.
For sure.
Oh man, like it's nuts. And you notice it too, like in comics sometimes. I won't name books, but there's some books that come out, you're like, oh, this is kind of weird. And like art and stuff like that too. But I mean, the show, I won't get into that because we try to keep things a little bit positive on the show. Because this is definitely not, what is your kind of feeling about that? Because I, for one, am just tired of the shows, other podcasts, whatnot, that just go on and riff and hate on all things comics these days.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
know?
like a huge fan of I'm not a huge fan of dunking on people.
Yeah.
And I definitely get the appeal and have had my vices in the past, but like ultimately all it does is like mess up your own career and just like be mean. That being said, I do love a good joke. I do love like
a good roasting or something like that.
Yeah.
But like an okay roasting where it's acceptable.
Constructive criticism is always more helpful than a dunking,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just seemed like a thing that's been popping up, but I never addressed it on the show before, and fans always been like, well, you guys tend to keep this problem. I'm like, yeah, I hate just like if I don't like something, I just won't talk about it on like anything. It's like this is how the fucking it's the Kevin Smith rule. They're like, oh, he's always positive and he talks about shit he loves. It's like, yeah, because what's the point of wasting fucking effort about talking shit you don't love? Trust me, I talk shit about clients that come into the hospital all the time. And that's the most I like. That's what I do. As like when it comes to comics and art form and shit like that. No, because I don't know. You and I both work in this business, and we know like it's a lot of work. And so like I honestly, if I hate on something, I don't really even hate. Like if I kind of dislike something, I kind of do for like 5 minutes when it comes to comics, and then I don't dislike it anymore. And people are like, well, you can't do that. Like, no, I can because I understand a lot of people's work went into this. And that's the thing.
There's no the extenuating circumstances. Like, were they getting notes that were just untenable?
Exactly.
Were they like, having a baby or something during the process? Like,
which is a thing. That's a thing more than ever after last year.
Apparently.
Yeah, shit. Like I say Mazel Tov every time I go on Facebook anymore and see old friends of mine. Just like, we're having a kid. I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, but that's cool. I mean, but you're working on some really cool books there. I mean, like, have you don't have to say a name in case like, NDAs or shit like that too, but like, have you worked on something yet in your comics career that was a dream to come on, or is that dream still out there?
God, yeah. Like, I've been very lucky. Here's the only issue. Here's the problem. I can only think about what is due next week. So I can tell you that I have been very blessed and delighted in my career, but I cannot tell you which books those were because I forgot.
Oh.
But
that's perfect. You're like, they're like, oh, do you remember this is now coming out? Like, I worked on that?
I have legitimately done that.
Really?
There's actually I gave one of my friends a card one day. And it was like for Hanukkah, it was the Hanukkah turtle. And so I gave them a card, and then like 2 years later, the card was displayed, and I was like, oh my God, this card is so fucking cute. Where did you get it? And he goes, Marissa, you don't know where I got that? I was like, no, seriously, where'd you get it? He's like, you drew that for me. I was like, whoa. I didn't know I could draw like that.
Whoa. It's not like you should be concerned about Alzheimer's here. It's like, oh no. That'd be my fear. But that's you know what? keep going, Marissa, because that's awesome. You can't worry about leaking shit.
No, you could tell me secrets till the cows come home, and I'll be like,
Yeah, I don't know. Just when this episode comes out, you'd be like, I did a podcast with that guy? Who the hell's he?
Who's that? No, I'll only remember because of the turtles and crocodiles.
Oh,
I
that's
won't
fair.
remember the rest of our conversation, but I will rember turtles.
I remember that. Yeah, I think that guy. Yeah, crocodiles are in that one. Like, yeah. Not wrong.
I think part of it, though, for me is like, it's not. I've been very fortunate to get to a place where my work isn't precious, and like I still psych myself out sometimes with it, but like ideally I should be drawing so much that like no one drawing is precious, and then if it's not precious, why would I remember it? You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That is really fair. I mean, but it sounds like you're just more dedicated, honestly. So like you're dedicated to what's in the moment, and you're not worried about anything else.
It comes off that way.
Huh? This is. Oh. Yeah, it's not bad though. It's not a bad thing at all. Like I'm sitting there thinking about it. Like I wish I could have that trait because like I'll be working on a project and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go do this, or oh shit, I gotta do that. Like, oh wait, did I miss my knoll that I have? Like, oh god, like all right, did I feed the cat? Like, or be like, oh I forgot to send this text message, and then I'm like drawn away from the project. Like, damn it. Or they'd be like, oh yeah, like oh wait, I gotta promote this thing coming out. Like, oh I gotta do this. It's like, wait, no, stay in the moment. You're on the computer, stay in the moment there. Like. Oh no, I can't. But you know what? I gotta ask you though. People have said yay and nay on this.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on doing work, like coloring and whatnot, and listening to music, whether with words or orchestral? Like I like some orchestral, like movie trailer music, like 2WEI. Like I listen to that while I work. Do you do that or no? People told me I'm atrocious for doing that, and people told me that I'm great for doing it. So I want your opinion on this.
I won't dictate anything for anyone else. Like whatever your process is, it has to be a process that works for you, and that process doesn't necessarily translate to anybody else. But I will say that I like flip through different things. Like I'll listen to podcasts for a while, and maybe I'll watch a show for a while, and sometimes I'll play music. So it's just like, you know, I'm again very fortunate to be getting down to 8-hour days, so it's less an issue to fill the audio space.
Yeah.
But like when I was working like 12 or 14-hour days, I would just like it's rough to listen to 14 hours of anything, you know?
That is true. You tend to get a little bit like brain dead. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, so like with the shorter days it's easier. But I like a little bit of sound. Like if I'm working in a studio with people, whatever they're doing is fine. I just like a little bit of sound.
Yeah, it's weird to me, like working in like even with animals, I'll have some music playing or something like that, or a podcast. And I mean, that's might be a bad idea when working with a 14-foot long anaconda, but
Really so long?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening to him, and I got one earbud in and one ear that's like, and both eyes on them. But people are like, I'd be distracted. Like, I don't understand. Like, and I've known friends of mine do this. Friends of mine do work in silence with it when writing or drawing. I'm like, how do you just work there and go, oh, you're drawing or like whatever? Maybe like, to me, working in silence is hell. I can't do it.
I will say when I'm writing, I do have to have silence.
Really?
But I think that's just because it engages like a different part of the brain.
Yeah, when you're writing here, that's why I like orchestral a bit more, because like when this is coming from a guy who's been a heavy metal freak show concert, but like kind of going about like hearing other words and people talking and having conversations and trying to listen to that, but also trying to write your own sentences and conversations about people that don't exist. It's kind of that is tough. I
have a bad habit of like, like whatever I'm listening to is just to fill space. It's not like I'm actively listening to it or actively absorbing it. But if somebody's like watching TV while I'm writing an email, I have a hard time because then I end up writing whatever is on TV in the email.
Oh God, no! Oh no! Like, Marissa? Why'd you send an email about Geico? Oh shit!
I'm just trying to help you with your insurance.
Yeah, that's it, man. It was the gecko. There's the gecko on there. Blame the gecko. Oh man, well, that's cool. Though. That is cool. I mean, what are some of the kind of go back on it because I'm curious and I like for people who. I mean, well, actually, no. Hold on here. How long have you been working in comics? Because you went to school and college and stuff like that, and judging from social media, you don't seem like you're that. You're pretty young. You don't seem like you're that old. I mean, I meant to say
that to me. I think it's my manic energy, but I'm almost 40. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm almost 40.
How long have you been doing comics then?
Only like 10 years.
Only 10? Only 10?
Only 10.
Wow. Okay, that's not bad at all.
Comics, baby.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been in it for 2 years, so let me tell you, like, ooh, comparison there. I mean, 10 years is a long time though in comics. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't. Maybe because it feels like 2020, like, was added on 20 years to our lives. I don't know.
Sure, that could be it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
it's a tough grind, but like, you know, I've done like fabrication and working when I was doing fabrication, you know, like, so that's like building furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
When you do that and you do that for like 12 hours, 16 hours, occasionally 24 hours, which is a fucking nightmare.
Oh God, no.
Like the physical pain after that of just like 16 hours hard labor like that, it's completely exhausting, and I would just like crash out. But like comics is hard, and it's a different kind of hard, but it doesn't give me the physical pain of fabrication.
No, you're not. As a guy, I did construction stuff with the Air Force in the past, so I 100% agree with that. Like it really, yeah. Like, I mean, one, it's a mental stimulant, and two, like, I would say though, it does give you the mental fatigue.
Yeah, it's a lot of rapid decision making.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, how long were you in that business though?
Fabrication?
Yeah.
I think I did it for like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, okay. What? Only 2 or 3? You made it seem like you were doing it for like 20 years, Marissa. You're like, I've seen some shit in the fabrication world. Yeah, 2 years. I was like, oh, what?
2 years, yeah. I think that one was really rough on me because like how to put this diplomatically to myself. I prefer somebody's gonna make an incompetent decision that it be me making an incompetent decision.
Fair enough.
It's
fair.
Not my favorite when other people do that, and then I have to clean up the mess. So I think that was like part of the huge stress of that job. And like the guys I worked with were real inappropriate with me and stuff like that. So
yeah, that would.
It's like one thing when people are inappropriate online and I can just mute them, but it's another thing when you go into work and, you know.
Yeah, no, I like, I don't want to. Now I'm trying to say shit diplomatically here.
See, it's because habits, friends.
Yeah, like, well, I don't want to come off on the wrong end and people are like, Dakota's a sexist asshole, because I'm an equalist guy here. I love everybody. I really fucking do. So it's like, I love-hate relationship with everybody. But like, yeah, no, there was a couple of jobs where I had kind of like that with girls and guys. I won't say what job, but it's an own grocery store. So there was that. But yeah, that whole thing. Besides the point.
Yeah, it can be a total jackass, you know.
Yeah.
So it's never just one person.
Yeah. There is this kind of opened up the memory banks. So this us talking has opened up the memory banks. Swear to God. Like there was a dude who came in who was like this really big fuck it. I used to work at Sprouts right after high school. So a guy came in, fuck it, I'll say the name. Guy came in there and he was like really high class dressed. I was just a kid cashier.
Yeah.
So I was just like, just whatever. And every now and then I worked the meat department in the butcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right. I'm in there and I'm a cashier and he's doing and I'm being my normal outgoing personal self, really, really crazy. Like I would have some conversation. Like I remember somehow me 3 minutes talk with an elderly couple and we were talking about their sex life for some unknown reason. I don't understand why things happen, Marissa. Like
it happens.
Was confused. But the guy came in and he looked at me and he didn't really say many words. I'm talking to people around me and shit too, and then him trying to talk to him one night. He had fun conversations. He's like, "Son, how old are you?" And I was like, 19. He said, "Well, you have a really good outgoing personality. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders. You got a good voice and stuff." And this guy looked like 30s almost, right? He said, "You ever thought about being corporate?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You could take your gifts and work in corporate business. You could make so much money. They would love you in the offices. You could be running a business." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Skyscraper business, boy. I could teach you the Wall Street things, all sorts of shit like that." And he's like, "You got some good gift." I'm like, maybe, brother. I don't know about that. Business ain't my strong suit and shit like that. And he's like, "You better do some good with your gifts." Here we are, not 3. Here we are years later on a fucking podcast.
Yeah. I guess he was right. Just not about the skyscrapers.
No, and it's like you never know where you're gonna go. It's just I don't know what made me think about that. That was a thought I haven't had in years. I was like, you should do good in the Wall Street business, and now I'm writing books. Oh shit.
Comics. Was comics one of your ultimate goals?
Kind of. Yeah. It was because I've been going by for a few years in my life. When I was like a teenager, I kind of went to live by two morals: is creativity and conservation. So the animal stuff was on hold for a few years or a couple years, and then now I'm back into it, doing the medical and working at a sanctuary preserve and all sorts of stuff like that. But the creativity side was film, and so I did film for a few years, and comics was the goal eventually.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and then I got hooked up with SGG's Comics, and we've been doing work there with that new company for a couple of years now. So like that, I never thought would actually happen.
Yeah.
Right? But it was a thing of like, I do want to do it one day.
Yeah.
And then writing film tie-in comic books, and then like I wrote. It sounds very loserish, but I know people have done it. But like I had ideas when I was a kid. And I wrote them in a comic book form and created all this shitty PowerPoint art, because PowerPoint is like that on the computer. And I did all this crazy stuff. And I wrote like a bunch of different scripts, character designs, all sorts of shit like that. And I was like, well, maybe one day I'll do it. One day. And I'll have this on backup. Maybe I'll go to a convention and do it. Went to plenty of conventions, never took it with, to like as a portfolio sort of thing. And then, because writers, that never really works at all. So then it's tough to tell. And then I was just like, yeah, and did the film industry thing for a while. And then I interviewed one guy, the AJ, and I was like, you know what? He's got this new indie company popping up. Let me see if I can send him. So I sent him an email saying, hey, I got an idea. You want to take a look at it? He's like, sure, we're looking for new writers. Gave it to him, and he got accepted. So I was like, holy shit, who knew?
That's awesome.
So it was that thing of like, yeah, in a way, short answer to that question, yeah. Then it just, I don't know, just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, happens sometimes.
Yeah, like I just never thought it would actually happen. Like I really done a lot of crazy shit. I've flown planes, all sorts of other jazz like that. But I'm like, I can never be a comic book writer. Who's gonna take me? Like, who knew? But yeah, no, that was look at you interviewing me now. What the hell? The twist of turns of events, Marissa.
Yeah, you can't look away from me. I'll pull a trick.
That's fair. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, like it's. I don't know. What about you though? Like, was it ever that sort of thing with you?
So, when I moved to Portland when I was a kid, Dark Horse is here. And so the libraries were all stocked with Dark Horse comics. I was like reading those and a lot of manga. Because we had a lot of like, you know, we have a pretty large Asian population here, and so we have like a lot of Asian markets. So it was really easy just really easy to get manga. Relative to what it was like to get it elsewhere in the 90s. I don't know.
Oh, God.
I don't know how old you are, but like in the 90s, it was a challenge to get. It's a challenge to get media. You really.
Yeah. Considering like, and it was on like turntable comics. Like, you had to just get the spinner rack and shit like that still in the 90s. Like, yeah.
Like bigger nerds I knew would do the like, bigger weebs would do the like mail order stuff. But I just got what was available. And then like, you know, Mike Mignola would talk at our library and stuff. So it was that
is awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's like I wanted to do it and I did like comics. But there were two big hangups. One being a woman in comics in the 90s was super not fun.
Yeah.
And like I go to comic book conventions with my guy friends and like not the most fun environment to be a teen girl. And then the other thing was, like I said, I thought you had to do it all. And so in college, I hung out with like comic book artists. Two of my good friends are John Rivera and Joe Flood.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and we'd hang out like a lot. Joe's doing good. He has like a family and stuff now, so we talk less. But John and I still talk super regularly. Good. And then when I was working in a cafe, when I was like, yeah, it must have been 30-ish. I was either 29 or 30, something like that. And Dave Stewart came in, and he was being all like coy and humble about who he was. And then I realized he was like this colorist that I adored and worshipped. And I was like, it just rocked my world. And then the next time he came in, I asked him a bunch of questions and he got all embarrassed. But then I put my nose to the grindstone and I was like, okay, I know this is a job. So now I'm going to make it my job. And I just like went to conventions constantly and like improved my portfolio and like tried to figure out how to do it and just like worked really hard to get it done. So and then got very lucky.
It seemed like that moment clicked in with Dave, and then it just after that was like the domino to fall.
Yeah.
It seems like once that went through, and then you did the portfolio, and you powered through. You saw though what it was like beforehand, and you're like, I'm not gonna do that shit, and I'm not gonna like be contribute to that sort of thing. When I'm gonna be someday, and you went and fucking made it. I like it, Marissa. That's pretty good. That's pretty good indeed. Like that's awesome.
I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, which I think is a lot of us in this business. Like, no one's born into being a comic book creator or artist or anything like that. You're not really handed the job unless maybe Jeff, like if your dad's Jeff Johns or some shit, maybe. But like I don't know.
You still have to work for it.
You do. Like you really have to work a while to be into it. Like when you asked me the question and I told you I made those books, like I didn't send it in anywhere on a Comic-Con, but I sent it in to like all these different companies in the mail and shipping and whatnot, and I sent in a bunch of different shit to them, and I made like binders, and each one got a binder and this package and shit like that. Of course, I got 0 emails back about anything.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, well, I'll keep them here and I'll keep trying every now and then. But it's like this. It's that thing where if anybody who's in it professionally, like us, we're in it and we worked hard to be there. Like, I think everyone's like, oh, you just maybe like drew something once and then you just got into it. Like, no, you work fucking hard. You hustled. The people at the top of DC and Marvel had to hustle like a son of a bitch for years before they could even get up there. You know, like It's a whole thing and a half. Like we're hard-working sons of bitches, Marissa.
Yeah, it's true.
All
You
right.
just don't get far here without working hard.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I love that though. God damn, you can write about whenever you write a book about anything, you can be like, so I worked hard and became a comic book artist, but I wanted my grandmother. Oh God. Well, I do want to say, because we're coming up to almost an hour here, is that I do want to say thank you for being on the show. This has been a blast.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I think informative for people in a way too, and it's just like a really, maybe I don't know. If people don't get shit from it, I can't help them. I'm sorry, but
if nothing else, they have some blackmail on me.
Or somebody listens to this show and like sends you something to do with furniture, and that'd be fantastic. They're like, "Oh, I never knew." That'd be, if they didn't know about it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
The thing I liked about fabrication was like I liked all the technical stuff. I really liked I did finishing. So you have to be like very clean, very precise, and very knowledgeable about like pigments and materials and woods and stuff like that to do it. And I really adore doing that kind of thing.
fair enough. I mean, that's because it's an art form within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is 100. Oh, now you kind of want me to try it out. Damn it! So I got too much on the plate already. What though can people? Because now's the time where I like guests who are on the show here to come promote themselves a little bit here. It's the business section. What do you got coming out that you can talk about that you remember?
I can look at my planner here.
Oh, that's how you make it work.
Oh my God. My pride and joy is my planner.
Oh.
I don't know. I think that's on hold. So that's on hold. We got, I did Mad Hatter. I have some historic comics coming out for the New York City public school system.
Oh.
About Sylvia Johnson and about brain. Why is my brain not giving me access? About some important queer historical figures. And then I have Harley Quinn animated series. I have Black Manta. I have Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. Hopefully is coming back. I haven't heard word in a little bit. I need to follow up on that. I have some Wonder Woman annual stuff coming up. And then some potentially really cool dream come true stuff coming up, but
Ooh.
it just depends. It just depends.
Depends if it all works out.
Yeah, it's just like getting people to do things is hard.
That is true. That is very, very true.
And then if there's any beginner colorists out there, hit me up on Twitter, Marissa Draws, and then I'll get you into some of there's Nick Filardi runs a Discord for beginning colorists. So
that is cool.
Go there. Chris Sotomayor, I recently popped in to do guest critique in his class, and that was very popular. And hopefully I should have some more teaching opportunities coming up.
We'll see what happens. I mean, you know what? You could tell you've been busy and you weren't shitting around about being busy, because that is a lot right there.
Oh, is it? That's like a half of what I usually do.
Is it really? Oh, to me it seems like a lot. I don't know why, but to me it doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, you have another job, so.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always working. I really am. They're like, why do you look tired? I'm like, I got 5 different jobs in total if you count them all. I love every single one, but you just get tired.
Yeah. What do you have to promote?
That I almost got in trouble there. Oh no, I can't say.
Trap.
Yeah, I can't say shit about it because it's. Oh, okay. All I gotta say is, so people who are listening to this episode within the next month or so, because my God, do people listen to the 3 years of episodes I have? The numbers really show. But in the next month, should be some stuff coming out with the comic company I work for, SGGS. Just know that, and it's stuff that's been working on for a while. Problem is, I'm a really good hype man, and I can't do that right now. Like, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like when I worked in film, and I worked on a movie, and I couldn't talk about it at all. And I got to meet like Greg Grunberg, and I got to talk with him for a while, and had pictures and shit like that together, and I couldn't put anything about it. And I'm like, fuck. I had to wait like a year, and I was like, damn it. I wanted, like, I would tell people like on the down low, but the very hard, like my dad or something like that. But
yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Wait,
Fun to talk about stuff.
Right? Yeah, but just know it'll be out there, folks. It'll be out there. But yeah, I do want to say, Marissa, thank you again for coming on the show. Like,
my pleasure.
I'll let you know when the episode comes out.
Cool.
Oh. Yeah, this has been fun. Now, I have to like stop myself. This is bad. This is really bad. Okay, but yeah, I will let you know when the episode comes out. Marissa, I tell us every now and then on the show is you are actually welcome to come back anytime too if you got anything you want to promote.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, you have a good rest of your day. Okay.
You too. Bye bye.